Hello and welcome back to Void Dreaming. We'll be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is at the end of the first day. So, Rael, I believe that was his name, was introducing himself to the crew, and you got the option to basically either sort of be skimping on the details or just flat out tell everyone your whole life story. And I decided to tell everyone the whole life story because, it's better to just be upfront with everyone than to sort of skip out on some details which might become relevant later where everyone's going to be like, oh, so you were lying or you just decided to omit these details later on. It's better that they know your story at the beginning than, for them to be surprised later on. Of course, in real life, you could probably also sort of maybe not tell everyone everything, but you kind of want people to know more or less what they're walking into. But anyways, before that, I also did the prologue, so you got to see how the system works, where either you get a preset of your backstory, or you get to pick out the backstory yourself, which gives you sort of like points, which would become relevant in the story, I guess. Again, so I made the comparison to Mass Effect, where in each of the third games, you get to pick your character's sort of backstory and then what they're proficient in, their job, maybe not job, but like their skills and whatnot. So that kind of reminded me of what was going on in the story. You also got to see most of the characters. I believe one new one is going to show up in this chapter. And yeah, you got to see more or less who I might already just be gravitating towards. That would be Bromka, the bear who is the Bannock, who also knows how to cook. And also the captain whose name I believe is Zuberi. Zubar. I'm pronouncing it how I think it's pronounced, okay? So if it's not pronounced that way, then oh well. The creators who were retweeting my videos not retweeting, reskeeting on Blue Sky didn't correct me, so whatever. Yeah, but like those are the ones that I'm mainly gravitating towards. Some of the other ones are interesting, but actually no. Also, Tolmany and Oba, though those are the four that I'm interested in. But I already know who I'm gonna more or less gravitate towards. But yeah. Anyway, so what else? Rael is on the ship because he wants to, I guess, keep an eye on his navsoft, which he developed, which should be working flawlessly, according to Tolmany and himself, but like it apparently caused an accident like a while ago, which ended up with the explosion, I'm assuming, of another ship, which was flying his software. So he's there because he wants to know, I guess, what happened and to keep an eye on it to ensure that it doesn't happen again. But yeah. Anywho, so yeah, I guess that's the gist of it. I mean, I'm recording this pretty recently, so it should be kind of fresh in your minds. But yeah, so I guess, let's begin chapter 2 of Void Dreaming. Is it me, or does it kind of look like he is a little bit constipated, or like he has something buzzing around inside of him? You lounge about for a few more minutes, but the comfort of your quarters can't last. It could, you suppose, but you know you have a shift to get to. You sigh as you heave yourself upright again and shake your head. Hey, Oba.
Present and accounted for, Stray.
You wonder if she ever isn't. Would you be so kind as to have something to eat replicated and brought here, please? I kind of want to make sure that I eat before I'm on my shift.
If only because you've been so polite. It'll be here before you've even changed.
You smile as you nod to the unseen disembodied simulant. You're the best, Oba. Thanks.
I am, and you're welcome.
You stretch for a moment before you open the drawer. Your uniform and underwear, already cleaned from last shift, is present and ready for you. It wouldn't do to show up on the bridge without going through at least a quick refresher cycle though. Best not to ruin everyone's opinion of you this soon. It's the work of moments to head into the refresher and dial in the quick cleanse. You close your eyes as the sonic waves wash over you and brush through your fur. You hurry out once it's finished, eager on some level to try to beat Oba's assertion that she'd be done with breakfast before you were ready. Unfortunately, she beats you by a narrow margin. The sliding door in the wall by your table retracts and a mechanical arm deposits a mug of calf and plate of synth meat on the table. It retracts and seals up once again a moment later.
And here we are, one breakfast fully nutritioned, infused, and flavor treated for lupine sensitivity.
Thanks, Oba. Really, I mean it.
I know you do, Stray, and I appreciate it. It's nice to be treated with a little respect.
Good to hear. Your attention turns fully to your meal, and you begin to plow through it as quickly as you can. Already, you find yourself missing Bromka's cooking. Especially since right now you can't help but crave a nice breakfast, just like what you crafted together. Still, best not to say anything. You don't want to upset Oba, and she probably doesn't have to bring you your breakfast every morning anyway. The calf is once again a standout, and you still don't understand how the Dreamer's replicator is able to brew it so good. You figure Sam drinks it by the liter. Maybe they took the time to program the replicator to that degree of precision. Nevertheless, you finish the meal in short order and sigh with satisfaction. Or as much satisfaction as you can get without Bromka doing the cooking. Thanks, Oba. Appreciate it, and you.
And such manners still. You're really angling to become my favorite, aren't you, Stray?
I'll never tell.
Maybe. Or maybe I'll just slowly vent the oxygen from your quarters until you answer.
You laugh, but the simulant falls silent. In short order, so do you. Please don't kill me in my sleep.
Oh, I wouldn't dream of it.
Or while I'm awake. Please.
If I had paws, you'd be tying them, but fine. I suppose that I can do that. Or not do that, as the case may be. But only because you're on my good side. Do remember that.
You're probably sure that the simulant wouldn't be able to actually do what she's suggesting. That, you're not completely sure, is exactly why you're not going to try her. The rest of the meal proceeds in relative silence, and so much the better after that. By the time that you finish up though, you feel ready to tackle absolutely anything that the day could throw at you. Alright, Oba, don't wait up for me.
I wouldn't dream of it, Stray. Have a good shift.
I'm sure that I'll see you on it, figuratively speaking. She doesn't have an answer for that as you stand and brush yourself down. Not that you made a mess, but still. As you leave your quarters behind, you catch Miz just leaving his own. The cheetah is still wearing his open shirt, chest bare as he smiles at you. I see that you're ready for another day of tedium out on the fringes of civilized space. Pretty sure that we left the fringes of civilized space behind a few kilolight years ago. Quite true. He nods to the bridge door. Shall we? Oh, we positively shall. The adoption of a mock version of his upper crust dialect briefly furrows the cheetah's brow before it softens with a tight smile. Best not attempt that sorry excuse for an accent on Tordera, Rael. I like you, and I wouldn't want to see you get in trouble. You chuckle, but you keep the sound quiet. It's possible that you've actually offended the cheetah and have no interest in pushing him further. Actually, I would like to push it further. You follow on as Miz leads you to the bridge door. It slides open before you, and he steps back to wave you inside. As the sun before the moon, you smile and nod to him. Most gracious. He follows you in a moment later, and the door slides closed behind you both. You immediately spot Tolmini already seated at the navcom, jacked in and fully integrated with the system. Zuberi too is seated already at the command chair, tapping at his console, and seemingly ignorant of your arrival. Sam is also present. The Rapid is bent over in front of the helm station, a section of the floor panel removed and exposing maintenance subsystems. Everything alright down there? Miz heads over to his sensor station and takes a seat. Sam doesn't even move as Zuberi turns towards you. Ah, and there they are. Welcome to the shift, boys. Thanks, Dad. Zuberi chuckles as he glances over at Sam. You make your way over to the captain's chair. Sam's doing some work on the helm systems. Apparently Brahm was worried about the connection to the main computer core. And there's nothing fucking wrong with it, just like I said. They don't even look up from their work as they grumble. Miz, by contrast, chuckles to himself. Not to worry, Sam. No one particularly minds the view. That sets the rabbit up in quick order, and they turn to glare at Miz as the cheetah raises their paws. Say it again to my face, kitten. Go on. Sam? No, I want him to say it again to my fucking... Sam. The rabbit falls silent, but their glare intensifies. You wince. Miz all but withers under the intensity of the engineer's stare. Leave it be. Sam's left leg twitches restlessly, but they give a reluctant nod a moment later. Miz? Yes, Captain. No. Yes, Captain. Sorry, Sam. The fuck you are? Zuberi sighs, long and deep and loud. You can't see the look that he shoots Sam with, but the moment the rabbit catches his eye... Well, they calm all but intensely. Just don't do it again. Of course. There's just barely enough insincerity in Miz's voice for you to be certain that he's absolutely gonna do it again. And there's just too little insincerity for it to be called out. That'll do, for now. We've got new crew. Is this really how you two are going to act in front of Rael? Both of them roll their eyes. Nah. Apologies, Rael. Not our best showing. Zuberi glances over at you and nods once. I appreciate it. Thanks. Glad to hear it, but I don't. You two keep that up, and it'll be hole scrubbing for a week. You know well why there's horror on their face. Drones usually do that trick, but some crews like using the cleaning of the hull and patching of minor damage as punishment. Zuberi seems to be one such, just like your mother when you ran your muzzle a little too hard. The captain seems pleased with their new contrition. Sam, back to it please. Miz, key your system up. We've got work to do. They both nod silently and move to their assigned tasks. You glance down at Zuberi. Where do you want me today? The older wolf glances Tolmini's way. Not that I didn't appreciate the work that you two did yesterday, but I'd rather you get a diversity of experiences before we settle you into a more permanent position here. Makes sense to me. Got a preference? He nods and waves towards the other side of the bridge. Comms console. We'll get you familiarized with the sensor system so that you can help out Miz with his work. I would have had you look into that yesterday, but you seemed like you had a pretty good idea of what to expect. Smiling despite yourself, you can't keep your tail from giving a little wag. It's nice to be appreciated. Guess you don't mind. Not when you slick-tongue me up like that. Oh, I'm certain that he could slick-tongue up a lot of things. Zuberi sighs. Miz. Sorry, Captain. Zuberi shakes his head, but he waves his paw towards the comms console. Go on, Rael. You nod and head immediately over to the console. It's clear that Zuberi's not in the mood to allow any interpersonal shit today. You settle in and turn in time to see Zuberi looking to Miz. The cheetah, for his part, is studiously focused on his console. Alright, how soon to range, Miz? Looks like 3 minutes. Estimation is 6 rocks, 1 belt. The wolf nods as he glances your way. Make sure that you're getting his feed, Rael. I don't want to miss anything. Yes, sir. One of the wolf's ears twitches at the honorific, but he nods anyway as you follow the order. You definitely don't want to give him the impression that you're not going to focus, not today. The data begins to stream across your display, and within moments, your mind settles into work mode. You have a job to do. Best you get to it. It doesn't take you long to adjust to the sensor suit. You're more than familiar with the functionality, after all the work that you've done for AG starships. Ms., appropriately humbled by Zuberi, is more than happy to walk you through the bits that you're less familiar with. By the time that the first system is mapped, you've already got it down. It's not until the first system is left behind and the starry black ahead cracks into the kaleidoscopic blur of warp space that things begin to relax somewhat. By then, Sam had moved to a data term by the black wall, out of Miz's line of sight. As they worked away, Miz began to behave more like himself, if less sharp-tongued. As a second system of the day, a titanic marathon of a tritary system containing 8 planets and 3 times as many moons is left behind, Zuberi leans back in his chair and sighs. Miz? Captain? That last system, and the warp lines that we picked up, how'd they read to you? You look over at Miz as the cheetah frowns at his display. 0.29, just like I said. Or did I misspeak? No, that's what you said. The wolf is stroking his chin with one paw. The other taps a claw against the armrest of his chair. Something's clearly bothering him. Captain? He taps a little faster for a moment and then shakes his head once more. Miz, keep monitoring the warp space fluctuations. Rael, would you bring up the long-range sensors, please? Now you're the one frowning. You nod as soon as his eyes meet yours and begin to key up the controls of the appropriate system. This is new. Before, you were just going on over the same data that Miz was looking at. Now he's asking you to take control of a whole section of the sensor array. As a sensor comes online, you nod to the captain. All warmed up. Where do you want them pointed? Straight ahead, at our next destination. Keying in the nav data, you narrow the corridor of the sensors to the system in question. The computer works away, sifting the data and comparing it to the expected estimation of the system. Finally, it pings. Sensor sweeps complete. Accounting for warp space distortion, looks clear. No contacts, just celestial bodies. However, even as you speak, a string of sensor data catches your eye. Hang on. You have something? I don't know. One moment. Frowning, you refine the sensor data further and issue another scan. Sensors logged something erroneous. Well, within parameters for warp space distortion, but the SIG was too clean to be an error. Our sensors don't make those mistakes, Rael. They don't make those mistakes in real space, Miz. Rael, what do we have? Your jaw tightens as you watch the sensor sweep complete again. New data scrolls across your display. I've got something. I can't make out the SIG, but there's definitely something there. Maybe a ship running closed loop? Oba?
All right. Give me a moment. I'll see if I can't clean it up.
The stream of data twists as the simulant's mind approaches a problem. Zuberi continues to look worried. Miz doesn't. Until he notices Zuberi worrying, that's when he starts. Now you can't help but worry a little too. Don't leave me in suspense, Oba.
I think I may be malfunctioning.
We've been saying that for years.
And I detected only trace amounts of humor in that statement, so I suspect that maybe I'll be fine after all. It's...
What are you seeing? What's the SIG?
If I'm not mistaken, and to be fair, this deep in warp space I very well could be. It is a ship.
Avoiding detection? Running on closed loop?
It is an intermediate signal. I won't be able to assess until we come out of warp space.
You turn towards Zuberi as a small holographic image projects above his console. You recognize the craft's silhouette instantly. That's an H-Ripper, a Signer Solutions courier ship. You're familiar? No, he's right. That's definitely an H-Ripper. You glance back. Sam's paying attention now, staring right at the hologram. And the person aboard has made a pretty big mistake. Miz blinks as Zuberi looks at you. Share with the class, Rael? You shrug. Signer uses all their own parts, keeps everything in-house. If that scan's right and the ship's all stock, it's not rated to be out this far. absolute shit jump range if distortion's pushing past point 2. Pilots desperate or dumb as rocks. And if they're desperate, they'd still have to be dumb as rocks to come out to the fringes in that thing. Zuberi holds up his paws. Let's keep the tax on the pilot in our pockets for now, please. Armaments? You hear Sam snore behind you. I wouldn't count on any. Single light cannon on a nose gimbal at best, civilian grade. 2 at worst, and no chance that thing's running closed loop. It'd cook anyone inside within a day. The captain's nodding to himself. Probably not a trap then. If it is, it's a shit one. But hey, you're all bridge crew. I'm just a tooler. What do I know? Miz opens his muzzle, but you give him a quick shake of your head. The cheetah rolls his eyes and closes his mouth again. Oba, how long until we're back in real space and close enough for a proper scanner reading?
A couple of minutes yet.
He nods again as Miz frowns. Don't do it. You know that she'll tear you from limb to limb. You don't even have a chance to ask what he's talking about before Zuberi sighs. Put the alert out, Oba. Wake the others. Immediately the lights on the bridge dim. Dark red illumination bathes the room and instead and a loud droning alarm begins to sound. You imagine it's only louder elsewhere in the ship.
Doing it.
You probably feel more comfortable if Zuberi weren't so serious, and if Oba weren't, well, lacking in her usual snark. She's going to kill us. If there is a situation, she'll be too busy to. Never thought that I'd be begging for a pirate so bad. You turn your gaze back on Zuberi. The wolf is watching the streaming colors of warp space with unusual intensity. What's the plan, Captain? He doesn't look over to you. We wait for Kalia and Brahm to hit the bridge, drop out of warp space, see what we're dealing with, and go from there. Could be like Sam said, an idiot who went a bit too far ahead. Thought that they could traverse wild space without any nav charts and got into a bit of trouble. Or they could be trouble. And lucky for us all if they are. How's that lucky? Because Kalia's cranky enough first thing in the morning without catching half as much sleep. Oh, no wonder Miz wasn't happy about the alarm going out. Time, Oba?
15 seconds.
Alright people, prep for reversion. The wolf begins to key up his console as you prepare the sensor array. You've got a feeling that you're going to need them in a few moments. Sam meanwhile moves over to the side of Tolmini's console. They pop a panel off of it and begin to jack their multi-tool into her systems. You mentally count down the seconds until the drop out of warp space hits, right on cue. Ahead of the ship, the warp field of colors and light splays out, stretching wildly until it snaps. There is a flash of white light as a dreamer punches a hole through warp space and back into reality. As soon as it does so, you have the sensor array retooled. It's already pinpointed the anomaly now that the distortion of warp space is no longer an issue. We've got sensor lock. Signer Solutions A-Tripper class courier. Score 1 for the new guy. You frown at the sensor readout. I can't get a transponder lock. There's too much interference. Miz, you got a reason for that? Working on it, Captain. Behind you there is a hiss as the door of the bridge opens up. You spare a glance back over your shoulder in time to see Kalia and Brahm stepping onto the bridge. Both are in uniform. You don't even know how they're dressed so quickly. What do we have? Random derelict courier ship that doesn't belong out here, Kalia. Defense station. She's already on the way over to the console. Helm? Please, Miz, I need the scanner data on that A-Tripper. Rael's right. There's too much interference for a good scan. Miz? The cheetah sighs as his paws fly across his console. Rael, try the sensors. See if you can get a life science reading. Sensors aren't fine-tuned enough for that. But they are powerful enough to pierce the interference. Oba can then scrub the data with our scanner protocols. It won't be the same, but it'll be far better than nothing. Well damn, the young cheetah knows what he's doing, for sure. Running the sweep. It's the work of moments to lock onto the courier ship. Data spills across your display. Run it, Oba.
Running it. Sensor sweep shows 1 life sign. Weak.
Miss gasps. You see the reason before he can speak and wince. They're dead already. The ship is a wreck, Captain. Reading toxic ACMO, failing core and a thruster bank about to overload. If there is a life signs reading, they're not dead. Zuberi's getting out of his chair as Bromka speaks. Brom's right. Get us in there. Maximum sustainable acceleration. Oba, can you use the sensors to get a displacement lock?
Absolutely not. We're moving too fast and the interference is too deep. I need a physical tag.
I knew that you were going to say that. Burn it all. The captain begins to tap on the console mounts on his armrest as Kalia turns in her chair to glare at him. You're not seriously going over there. You've got a better idea? Yeah, we leave. Such a saint. We can't leave someone there to die, Kalia. I mean, we could. We're not, though. Right, Captain? Right. The decision is made. Deal with it. She growls back at him, ears pinned back as she glares. Fine, but it shouldn't be you going. I am not putting anyone else in danger like that. You frown as the two argue. A quick look through the sensor data shows the truth. The ship's highly unstable. That overloading thruster bank keeps misfiring. Life support is minimal, if it's working at all. Going over there would be extremely dangerous for whomever does it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Every single pair of eyes on the bridge turns to you at once. I can't let you do that, Rael. You're not asking. I'm offering. You're the captain. I'm just a stray that you picked up. If somebody's gotta risk it, it might as well be me. He's right, Zuberi. He's the practical choice. If he knows what he's doing. You know what you're doing. Oba sends me over, I get the life signs, and I tag them. She displaces us both, and all before the ship goes boom. And the longer that we sit around arguing about it, the harder it'll be. Captain, Zuberi, I can do this. Trust me. You watch as the wolf's face softens. I can't put you in danger like that, Rael. Sure you can. I know you'll pull me out of it if anything goes wrong.
If we can.
Well, there goes your confidence. Thanks, Oba. She's right. We might not be able to get you back. And that's exactly why he should go, if anyone. We can't lose you, Zuberi, and you know it. The captain sighs and reaches into his belt. A shiny disc behind the buckle comes free, and the moment that it does, you can see the shimmer of the liquid inside of it. Nanosuit material. Take it, before I change my mind. You leap out of the chair and grab the disc from Zuberi, affixing it to your own belt a moment later. It sends a tingle through your body that's not entirely unpleasant. Once its scan is complete, hit the center. It'll commence biosync. Try not to choke when they go down your throat. Not my first nanosuit biosync. So you know what to expect. Unfortunately. The tingle stops a moment later with the completion of the disc's scan. You watch Zuberi nod and then hit the center of the disc with a paw. Instantly, the rim of the disc slides out. Along with it comes a thick stream of silvery liquid metal. It silently rolls out and over your uniform, encasing you bit by bit in a form-fitting coating. You watch as it creeps up and across every inch of your body until the cold sensation of it reaches your neck. You take a deep breath, hold it, and open your muzzle. The moment that the goo reaches your muzzle, it dives right down into it, and then further. It's so thick as it stops you from gagging on it, which is a pleasant thing as the rest of the goo covers your face. Your nostrils are next, invaded by a choking stream of nanobots. Your ears soon follow. Your head buzzes and your neural sockets tingle as the suit reaches it. And then, as you open your eyes to the heads-up display imprinted right on your field of view, it's over. The discomfort is done and you cough up quietly inside the helmet that seemingly covers your head. Never gonna get used to that. Here's hoping that you never have to. The wolf's voice sounds a little tinny, but otherwise it's coming through clear. You give a few experimental flexes of your arms and legs, full motion. And with the suit integrated into your neural socket, you can already see your heads-up display and comms reading adjusting to your thoughts as you have them. Neat. You good to go? Good as can be. Do we know where the life signs are located? Looks like the bridge, as best as I can tell. That drive overload's causing too much interference. Fair enough. Sam, you know the ship design. Any good location for Rael's destination? You turn and the rabbit's nodding. Cargo bay looks empty from the scan, so less chance the abacus displaces him halfway through something.
Thanks, Sam. I'm sure the stray appreciates that.
You grimace and bite your tongue. Cargo bay it is. Oba, run the numbers and prep for displacement.
On it before you even asked.
Zuberi steps in front of you with a stern look on his face. Don't fuck around over there, Rael. Get to the bridge, get the survivor, tag him, and get back here. If we can stabilize the thruster bank, maybe we don't have time for maybe, Sam. Rael, get to the bridge, get the survivor, tag them, and then get back here. I got it. You grit your teeth. Sam might have a point. If you could stabilize the thruster bank or even get life support running, you could buy yourself precious time over there. Zuberi might not agree, but he's not going to be in the thick of it. You'll use your own reasoning when you get over there and can better assess the situation. Oba, speed. Are we in displacement range?
We're up to 0.63 at light speed. Displacement calculations complete. He's good to send. He wouldn't end up in a wall, at least. Probably.
Thanks, Oba.
Odds of successful displacement are...
Don't you dare. At least the simulant can joke. You don't feel up to it. Alright. Rael, you ready? No, but let's do it. Hit it, Oba.
Good luck, Stray.
A bright flash wipes out your vision as you lose your sense of self for a moment. Everything is washed out, just as when you were brought aboard. When the flash fades, you're amidst chaos. The room is cavernous, and you immediately recognize it as a cargo bay. Thick smoke and fumes curl in what passes for air. With a thought, you activate the nanosuit's comm system. Captain, do you read me? We read you, Rael. Where'd you arrive? Cargo bay. Thanks, Oba. Good displace.
How dare you doubt me?
You look around with a frown. It's a war zone over here. Are you close enough for a good scan yet? Not yet. We're getting there. But in the meantime, your suit should be able to get a read on the sublight array. No sooner has the thought gone through your head than the heads-up display produces a small representation of the ship that you find yourself on. It takes a few moments, but then the sublight bank is lit up in red. Your eyes widen as the display appends a new value. The ship's drive overload is apparently progressing in a predictable manner. 26% remains before catastrophic failure, it seems. Looks like I'm on the clock here. Reading said that the driver is in overload already. That shouldn't be happening. The power should have cut off. Well, it's not. Yeah, I get that. The counter ticks down. 25% integrity remains. Shit. Alright, I'm going. You hurry across the floor of the cargo bay and hit the door controls. They fail to open. Shit. We're technologically savvy, so... The main controls could be working on a backup circuit. The right command sequence could disengage the maglock. Your nanosuit's multi-tool function allows you to interface directly with the control panel beside the door. Information spills across your heads-up display before it's relegated to a corner of your vision. You spot what you're looking for within a moment. It looks like the ship's internal systems have gone into a Phase 1 lockdown as a result of everything that's happened. That's a hassle to overcome if you don't know what you're doing. You, however, know what you're doing. It's the work of mere moments to isolate the commands that relate to the lockdown. With the nanosuit helping to translate your intention into an actionable command overrides, you don't have a problem. The console pings and then clicks as the maglocks disengage, and the door slides open. You step out quickly into the ship's main corridor and breathe a sigh of relief. To your left, the corridor forks down two separate directions. To your right, it continues on in a single, continuous corridor. According to your nanosuit's head-up display, you can find the bridge to your right. That's where your life signs apparently are located. However, Sam had a point. You could potentially buy yourself more time if you could stabilize the overloading thruster bank, and your target might live longer if you can get life support up and running. Both of these will take time that you may not have. With only 24% left, you've got to decide priorities. So I'm gonna go based off what I did when I was sort of skimming through to see what I had to, like, censor or whatever. So yeah. Taking the leftmost of the forking passages according to your heads-up display will take you straight to the engineering bay. You run as fast as a nanosuit will allow you. Arrival sees the door to the engineering bay blasted open, as if by an explosion. A second glance shows a blast point. This wasn't an explosion. Someone utilized a high-powered cannon to blow their way into the engineering bay from outside. The ship has been boarded. You don't have time to worry about that. The overload has to be your primary concern right about now. As soon as you step into the engineering bay, you can already tell that you've got your work cut out for you. The place is a mess. Smoke fills the bay, curling from various ruined consoles. Exposed power conduits spark and flash dangerously. This close to the aft of the ship, you can hear the whine of the overloading thruster bank. You need to be careful. Mistakes here could be extremely costly. Where are you going to do the most good? Again, I am going to do what I did. Maybe if you can isolate the sublight drives from the power distribution system entirely, you can cut the overload off at the source. If nothing else, it should force the reactor's energy to flow through secondary conduits. That'll bottleneck what the drives can draw, buying you more time. The first step is accessing the main engineering console. Your nanosuits allow you to jack in directly and parse the data flowing through it. You direct the interface to bring up the power distribution system's core functions and focus in as the ship's power grid is exposed before you. The problem, as soon as you're looking not at the drive system but power distribution, is obvious. A series of capacitors on the main power conduit are damaged beyond repair. They keep demanding power from the reactor, but aren't buffering the flow at all. It's being fed into the thruster array, but the array can't generate any thrust to vent the energy. You're not going to be able to isolate the system completely, not like this. The sublight thrusters won't stop demanding more power. Your second idea is a good one though. The secondary conduits still have their capacitors, or at least they should. Unfortunately, you won't know until you try to reroute the power. And you need to act fast. Thankfully, it seems the command system aboard the A-Tripper is far less complex than on a ship like the Dreamer. It's a simple series of commands to reroute the power from where you are. By closing off the main conduit, the power demanded by the thruster bank has to go through the secondary conduits. You wince as several of those conduits throw up alerts through your heads-up display. They won't hold up for long. Fortunately, your scanners are re-evaluating the system integrity. A small favor, but gratefully accepted. However, it means demanding the power conduits to try and slow or stop this isn't an option anymore. Now they're integral. Unfortunately, this, if I recall correctly, doesn't do anything. It just buys up your time. And going here also doesn't do anything. There's no time to waste. The engineering bay has nothing more to help you slow the overload. You need to get to the bridge. The heads-up display still has a layout ready to recall. It flashes up and sends you back the way that you came. You break into a sprint. You dart past the fork and head up the other direction, straight for the bridge. Your boots fall heavy on the deck as you run as fast as you can. The route to the bridge is in worse shape than the rest of the ship. Debris litter the corridors from blasted panels and battle damage. Just like in the engineering bay, the damage seems to have been caused by the weapons fire within the ship. Whoever did this was looking for something specific. When you arrive, the doors to the bridge are sealed shut. Blood mars the walls and the console beside it. You wince at the sight of it and try the controls. There's a click from the door, but it won't budge. Mag locked. You need to get inside, and you need to get inside fast. We're gonna overload again. Those locks are the real problem. They've just got to go one way or another. There's not enough time to try and override them, so something a bit more direct is in order, a controlled overload. And hey, if it draws enough power, maybe it'll even slow down the thruster bank overload. Right on cue, you see the thruster bank edge closer to the overload. You better get to work. Using your nanosuit as an interface to jack into the panel, you bypass the door controls and connect directly to the power distribution system. It only takes a moment to identify the circuit that controls the mag locks on this particular door. You smirk and direct the nanosuit to connect to that circuit. It immediately does so and detects the amount of energy flowing through the conduit. With a flick of thought, you direct the nanosuit to induce a surge, and it does. Sparks fly from the control panel before it dies. There is a click from the door as the mag locks fail with them. They aren't powered, but they're still sealed. As you disengage from the console though, you grasp at whatever purchase you can to find on the door and pull. It comes away much easier than you would have thought. Good nanosuit tech, you figured. Makes sense for Zubari. Speaking of... Captain, I'm about to enter the bridge. You see our survivor? It's hard to miss them. Him, if you had to guess, as you round the command chair that he sits slumped in. They're limp, chest barely moving as they lay otherwise still in the chair. They might be a Martin, but the snout and the wounds marring his face make it harder to tell. The uniform is at least the functional garb of a trade coalition pilot, and a trio of black braids cascade behind their head. Yeah, stand by. You look up and around the bridge. The blast shields are down, and that's probably a good thing. Any transparent materials would have probably been blasted open when the ship got into trouble. The air is thick with fumes and smoke. It's unlikely that the backup life support could have done anything to help the survivor, even if you brought them back online. In addition to your target though, you can see that the command console at the captain's chair is active and lit up. You might be able to figure out what's happened here if you can slice the data logs, but that'll take time that you may not have. Time is short. Really? Slice the ship's data logs. You lean across the command chair and key in the thruster systems. Maybe from here you can learn what exactly happened to the ship and its pilot. The screen lights up as your fingers touch the controls. It's all still active. The data logs demand authorization to proceed. Of course they do. Fortunately, you know a thing or two about slicing secure systems, and this one isn't even entirely unfamiliar to you. Signer. They never learn. You won't even need to slice it to get to the logs. It's a simple matter of tricking the authorization window into accepting you as a Signer Solutions official licensed maintenance technician by tripping the factory override hidden behind the command console. You'd laugh if you had time to spare. As soon as you've done that, the data logs are the very first system brought up before your eyes. Every pilot's dirty little secrets can be exposed here. Maybe your survivor has something to hide. Meanwhile, as you're pulling up the most recent logs, your heads-up display alerts you to an unexpected spike of power in the thruster bank. You wince, but glance back at the display as the information in the log spills out. They detail the actions that led to the ship to be in the sorry state that it's in. According to the data logs, the vessel was set upon by hostile craft and forced to make several uncharted warp jumps. It was pursued and disabled, boarded. That explains the damage that you've seen and searched. The attackers left after the overload began. They may have had something to do with it. But why hadn't they finished the job? Why rig the ship to explode instead of blasting it out of the sky themselves? There had to have been a reason. Something more has to be going on here. Proceed to the next data log? Yes. The mystery is too enticing, and if you're getting out of here with a guest, then it's best that you know what danger they're bringing aboard the ship. No sooner had you begun sifting to older data logs that you're alerted to another surge. Is something in the ship's computer core reacting to your intrusion and hurrying its demise? Ugh, that was a big one. If you're not careful, these logs will be the last things that you see. Still, if nothing else, you're able to see the next of the logs. You scan them for anything remotely interesting, but it's not until you spot the flight plan programmed in that you pay attention. It doesn't make sense. The ship seems to have left on its own recent journey from a corposat orbiting the world of Rhysonium on the Midrin. The destination, according to the data log, is Dyrabesh? That's the deep core. This little A-tripper left from a corposat station in the Midrin bound for the core, and was flown through over a dozen jumps and several kilolights to wild space, and its course isn't even complete yet. And most confusingly, there was no cargo in its belly. The A-tripper was empty the whole way out of Rhysoma? There's no reason for pirates to blast and board it. You glance at the downed form of your survivor. What in the world were they up to? It's risky, with how much the drives have been surging, but you could try and find out more information. One more data log scan wouldn't kill you. Well, unless it does kill you. Fuck it. All this firing off alarm bells in your head. If this survivor is getting on Zuberi's ship, you need to be sure that they're not going to bring disaster down on his head, and those of his crew. Loading the data log's older entries comes with a predicted surge. You watch the indicator, breath held. Ouch. You hope that hasn't just doomed you to death aboard this damn ship. At least you'd die knowing something. If you get blown to pieces, the data logs flow across your screen a moment later. And now, you're glad that you risked it. This A-Tripper was stolen. It's there, clear as day in the data logs, impossible to access and wipe without the same level of specific knowledge that you possess. Clearly your survivor lacks it. The log lays it all out. Unauthorized access, command code overrides, transponder and sublight ID SIGs retasked to new values, warp core deharmonized by 0.03%, just enough to mask its signature. When this A-Tripper left Rhizome, its original destination had been Rabash. When it had been stolen, that course had been corrected. The endpoint had been left, but the route became, well, nonsense. You glance down at the survivor and shake your head. There's no time to argue with Zuberi and the crew over whether to take or leave the survivor. You're here to tag them and get out. And that's just what you're going to do. But you're definitely going to want to take a bit more care with them now. So I'm gonna attempt something. You close out the data logs. You don't need anything more from that. If you weren't so familiar with the Starship systems, you wouldn't be able to preempt the authorization request you know the console's about to throw at you. Fortunately, you're able to jack your nanosuit directly into the main computer, line leading from the console right to the ship's core. The suit connects into the line and immediately intercepts the command request. You smirk. Signer ships have always had painfully awful security protocols, if you're in the know, and you are. Spoofing it doesn't take more than a moment, and you bring up the sublight array and power distribution systems. The smirk fades, replaced with a frown as you look over the data. It's worse than you thought. Not only is the sublight bank in overload, but the power is demanding from the reactor is only going up, and faster than it should be. The reason becomes apparent a moment later. While the thruster's overload is proceeding as would have been expected, someone took the time to introduce a virus into the ship's core. That's what's been force-feeding more and more power into the thruster bank, and you bite your tongue as you shake your head. It's too far gone to stop now, but eradicating the virus would buy you time. It's gone in a few taps of the console controls, thanks to your suit operating outside the constraints of the compromised Starship core. You nod to yourself. It's not too much, but it's something. Could we check the pilot's vitals? The survivor is your priority. You need to make sure that they're okay. You reach down to the maybe Martin's neck and touch a pair of fingers to his fur. The nanosuit upon contact follows your instructions and relays their health information to you. The information appears immediately on your heads-up display. Martin, mask, severe condition, blaster burns to the back, broken leg, internal bleeding, and failing organs. Their lungs could be worse. Getting here as quick as you have is probably the best thing that you could do for them. Tag the survivor for displacement. As you settle down beside the pilot, your suit reads your intentions clearly. Elements of it coalesce in your right paw, in the form of a glowing blob of semi-solid nanomat. You bring it down to the crew member's arm, and the glob immediately latches on. It wraps all the way around their arm, sitting snug and blinking a red light at you. Link established. Good. Captain, the target's been tagged. And, now would be a good time to get us out of here. We've got you, Rael. Displacing you.
We do not have them.
Uh-oh. Oba?
We're running at a 0.68 C, and temporal distortions inhibiting the lock. Casual interference won't let me confirm it. I need a moment.
Oba, I really don't have the moment. This overload's coming. Oba, get them out of there now. New irritation enters the simulant's voice as alarms blare from the command console behind you.
If you want me to displace only half of our stray aboard, then sure, confirm the order.
Which half? Quick as you can, Oba. Hurry. Come on, Oba.
You could stand to ask nicely, you know. I'm working so hard here and...
Oba, not the time.
Get down, close to the tag as you can.
You don't need to be told twice. You all but fall over your target, gripping their limp body tight. He's right. The way that the overload's speeding up.
Displacement commencing.
You suck in a quick breath and hold it. You feel the field of energy envelop you before you can see anything. When that energy collapses into a broad field of white that erases your physical self, however, You feel almost like you've been ripped to pieces. It only lasts a moment, but it feels like it lasts forever. When the flash of lights fade away, you're on the bridge and the emergency lights are off. You collapse forward to the deck with a gasp as wisps of smoke rise off of you from around the displacement field. The tag survivor from the A-Tripper is not beneath you. As you turn and look up, you see Zuberi all but leap out of his seat. Oba!
Stars. Don't you take that tone with me.
Where?
The infirmary, of course. What did you think that I was going to do with the... Hey!
The moment that she said infirmary, the captain was in motion. Bromka almost followed, but he froze up as he looked back at the controls. Kalia, take the bridge. Brom, drop what you're doing and come with me. The Vixen quickly interjects before Bromka can move. Are we at range? Should be. I need... Begin deceleration protocols and go. He nods and immediately keys in a quick series of commands. You feel your body lurch through the inertial dampeners as the Dreamer decelerates. She was really moving to get to you. But what did Kalia mean, in range? That doesn't immediately matter, you suppose. As you push yourself up to your feet, Zuberi's already off the bridge. With the ship slowing, Bromka moves to follow with just as much haste. You look over at Kalia as the bear leaves the bridge. Somewhere down the hall, Oba's yelling at the captain something about respect for her craft. Rael, go. You blink with confusion as you look at the Vixen. She's focused on her targeting screen. Does she intend to destroy the ship? But what are you? It's not an offer, it's an order. And I want a gun on this stranger until we know more. Go. You grit your teeth but nod. That sure clarifies your choice in the matter. On the bright side, you are curious. With a nod, you turn and break into a run of your own. The bridge door is still open as you follow Zuberi and Bromka. They're already a ways ahead of you, but you can follow the sound of their voices, or to be more accurate, Oba's. You head for the door opposite the commissary accessway and run right through the gym. You don't even pay it any mind as you pass through and burst through an open doorway into what you can only guess is the infirmary. The infirmary is split into two. Where you enter is a long room, the walls lined with equipment and medical supplies. You imagine that they don't get much use, but rack upon rack is fully stocked and supplied. Behind a sterilizing MagCon field that's clearly been activated lie 4 egg-shaped med pods. Bromka stands at the foot of one of the pairs of pods, his fingers flying across the control panel. One of those two must house a survivor. Zuberi is pacing back and forth on this side of the MagCon field. He glances up and nods as you arrive. You returned it, but your mind is on your nanosuit. You should really get it back to him. You hit the natsuit disc and watch as the suit begins to retract around you. You gag, your stomach churning as the biosync is reinverted. The nanosuit inside of you emerges via your nostrils and muzzle. You double over as the discomfort washes over you. It passes quickly enough, but that doesn't make it any less unpleasant. Zuberi is watching the whole time, and as the last of the nanosuit retracts into the disc, you breathe a ragged sigh of relief. Fun, Yeah, thrilling. You step over to the wolf with a shake of your head. Glancing up shows Bromka paying absolutely no attention to you whatsoever, probably for the best. You pass the disc back to Zuberi, who affixes it to his belt once more. How are they? You sure? That's what the bioregulator says, and he is not doing good. You lean in a little closer, only to be brushed back by the bear. Unlike the other pods, this one is completely closed up. The upper half is transparent, however, finally allowing you a good look at your survivor. It is a Martin, masculine in appearance and slim build. His uniform is an absolute mess. His fur is charred and stained. You're more surprised than anything that he's even alive. Bioreg give you a name? Later. I am worried about keeping him alive for now. Zuberi nods as he steps back from the doctor and the pod. His eyes lift towards the ceiling, and yours involuntarily follow. Oba, do you have anything?
Why would I have anything?
Because you always do. The stimulant gives an exaggerated sigh.
Well, since Bromka is too busy to answer, I'll do it for him. His patient's bioregulator has been stripped.
Not the sort of thing the average person usually goes and gets done. No, but he doesn't look like a pirate to me. Well, this one's appearance could be damn deceiving. At the very least, he seems to have jacked the ship and run her to the fringe. You glance at Bromka. Maybe you should share that with Zuberi when the two of you can be alone. Oba, you can't get anything from it?
I can get you a name and age. Anwil, Clan Henyan, born 25 years ago. Of course, if the bioregulator has been stripped, that might not be his actual name.
Zuberi strokes at his chin as he looks at the marten up and down. The lights within the pod bathe him in a soft green light, pulsing slowly as gases swirl about. Oba, how's he faring?
You have a doctor, and I'm not a medical interface.
Brahm is busy, Oba. Please. Another exaggerated sigh filters down from above.
The physical suspension was engaged as soon as I displaced them to the pod. You're welcome, by the way.
Thank you, Oba.
9 broken bones, a perforated lung, heart failure, liver failure, and a blaster burn to his back. Bramka is currently running nano reconstruction. He'll live.
Zuberi sighs with relief as he bows his head.
Oh, and we'll also have sufficient biomass for another 6 emergencies of this caliber. So if you've got any ideas about bringing on more strays...
I'll give it due consideration, Oba. Thank you. You catch a glimpse of Zubari starting to smile. Guess you turned into a good medical interface after all, didn't you?
With the greatest of love and respect, Suck Vac.
I love you too. The wolf turns towards you and waves for you to follow him. You nod, but pause for a moment. Good work there, Brahm. Tell me when he's up and running. This somewhat terse Bramka is a sharp contrast to the bear that you've seen. Now that he's engaged with his true profession, he is absolutely focused. It's admirable. Come on, Rael, let the doctor work. You hesitate a moment. Kalia did say that she wanted a gun trained on him. That a threat lying there, is it? The captain waves towards the med pod and shakes his head. He'll be out while the pod and Brahm do the work. Once he's awake, he's going to be a mess. So we don't want a gun on him? Zuberi pauses just long enough to betray his thoughts. She's probably right. But you'll be back again before he's awake. We just need to give Brahm some room for now. Thank you. The bear's tone is tense once more, and you nod to him. Sorry, Brahm. Come on, let's give him the space. You nod again and turn to follow as Zuberi leads you out of the infirmary. Keep me appraised. Of course. You hold out your tongue as you head out of the gym again. The door closes behind you and the captain glances past your shoulder. You turn, expecting to find someone else there, but there's no one. For the moment, it's just the two of you alone in the gym. Zuberi's pacing slowly back and forth before you, arms folded. You don't really know what to say. Something's bothering you? Keen observational skills. That's what I brought you aboard for. You smile despite yourself. So, what's got your tail knotted? Did you see anything over there? Anything that might, I don't know, shed a little light on the whole situation? You pause. All you saw over there just added more questions. They boarded the ship. They? Whoever it was that wrecked it. The damage in there wasn't just caused by space battle. That was the internal fighting. Not all that surprising. Well, there's also the engineer's bay. I told you to go right to the bridge. You sigh. I know, I'm sorry. I thought that maybe I could stop the overload. We're going to talk about that later. What about the bay? Whoever it was brought some serious hardware along, blew the blast doors right open. Probably could have torn the ship apart from the inside out with it. I'm talking serious hardware, mil-spec. Zuberi frowns at that. You think a military starship attacked him? I don't know what to think right now. I did get access to the command console on the bridge. Rael. I know, we'll talk about it later. And won't that be fun? And? He came under attack. Logs weren't clear about who, but they forced him into an unplanned jump. You can tell Zubari understands the significance of that right away. He recoils as though he's been burned. Stars. He's desperate or he's suicidal. Yeah, that's what I thought. Except it didn't work. Now the wolf's frowning. What happened? They found him again, disabled him before he could run, and then boarded. He rigged the ship to blow afterwards, and then they left. That doesn't make sense. That's what you were thinking. Why rig it to blow instead of just blasting it into pieces? Yeah, I wondered that. Did the logs have anything more? Yeah, seems like the deeper that I dug into the systems, the more whatever they done advanced the overload though. So, that was fun. Well, you did say that they rigged it. Guess they didn't want anyone learning enough to get out and come after them. I don't know if it helps, but I got their last flight logs. The ship left a corposat around Raiso Yuma on course to Dairabesh. Zuberi snorts. Dairabesh steep core. Yeah, that's the thing. The course got rerouted all the way over there, deeper even, and without any cargo. The wolf's ears pin back. Yours almost mirror him. No cargo. At all? That's what the log said. Nothing picked up or offloaded at Raisoyama except reactor fuel. Then off of it went on a new flight plan. The wolf shakes his head. Cargoless courier ship out of a major trade hub, flung straight out into the fringe. That makes exactly no sense. You're telling me. You said that the course went deeper than here. How much deeper? Deeper. I'm sorry I didn't snag a copy of it, but I didn't have time. Anyway, after it reached its destination, the ship was meant to turn right back around and go straight into Driverbash. Now the wolf's nodding along slowly. Could be the original flight plan was still being retained and the Navcom was processing it automatically. Or it could be that the ship was meant to make it back. One of Zuberi's ears perks up. Got anything to support that? Oh, do you? But the captain won't like this. Yeah, because it wasn't ever meant to make it out this far. That course change out of the corposat, it happened after the logs noted several breaches of the computer core, jacked authorization. Zuberi's eyes narrow as he glances back towards the infirmary. Our little trade coalition pilots a ship thief. Your jaw tightens as you shake your head. I think there's more to it. Go on then, spin me. You take a deep breath and hold it a moment. This whole situation's a mess. It doesn't make sense if he's a shipjack. He jacks an air tripper and flies it straight out into the fringe, past. Safe to say that there's something to this. How do you want to play it? The older wolf's brow furrows as he shrugs. We palmed the shit. Keep it to ourselves. Didn't take you for a gambler. I fly uncharted warp space. You smirk and nod. Fair reply. For now, we keep it to ourselves. I'll let Kalian know when the time comes. Seems like there's something that he doesn't share with his 2IC. Anything else stand out? How about that the overload wasn't on accident? The older wolf just shrugs. Battle damage. Deliberate sabotage. The main command console was infected with the virus. When Sam said the failsafes should have kicked in, they were right. They couldn't. Zuberi frowns as he glances back towards the infirmary. So they take the ship down, disable it and set the virus to overload the thruster bank. Looks like it. Why not just blow it themselves? Simple. If they blew it up, then the transponder would go dark at the same time as all their ships are around. And that's a problem. Why? It's a good thing that you know your tech. Every ship's got a burst beacon hardwired into the computer core and comms. If a transponder goes dark and the burst beacon makes a warp space transmission, all local sensor data, all data logs. In the millisecond between transponder failure and burst beacon failure, it snapshots the sensor data and sends that right on to the last service point it was calibrated to. By this point, Zuberi is nodding along. So if they wanted to keep themselves hidden, they'd want to be nowhere near the ship when it blew. Or they'd board it, plant the virus to ensure the overload and to block the burst beacon. The captain frowns. Not block the beacon and then just blast it? You shrug and flash him a joyless smile. Sure, and if the virus didn't do the job, you're still snapped. Board the ship, plant the virus, scramble before the overload hits. Any snap's not gonna get your ship, if there even is one. Lets you play it safe. Lots of trouble to go to. The ship was stolen. Who knows what else was on it? Good point. The wolf strokes his chin thoughtfully as he regards you. Got anything else? You rack your brain, trying to think of anything that might have stood out, or otherwise give the wolf anything valuable to mull over. No, nothing comes to mind anyway. Alright, that's fine. Right now, all I can say for sure is that we're going to have a lot of questions for our new guest as soon as he's up and about. You nod as Zuberi tilts his head towards the ceiling. Oba, any word on that?
Let the doctor work his magic.
Oba. The stimulant groans.
I am not a medical interface.
Today you are. What's the situation?
As I told you, none of recreation is running. It's pretty severe damage and it'll take some time. Current estimation is 20 minutes more for the bones, another 15 for the organs. Tissue and fur regeneration, of course, should be almost instantaneous once that's out of the way. Satisfied?
You wince. There is actual hostility in her voice. Does Oba have that much against being asked questions like this? No, I'm not. And there's a note of it in Zuberi's tone now too. Maybe there's a whole thing here between them. Bridge is okay?
As okay as it can be with Kalia in charge.
That'll do. Thank you.
Yeah.
The wolf turns back to you. Do me a favor. Sure. He blinks and then smiles broadly. Without even knowing what the favor is? Well, now I'm worried. No, it's nothing bad, I promise. Guess I'll be the judge of that. What do you need? I know it's gonna be boring, but would you go stay with Brahm, just until our patient's up and about? You frown, but Zuberi shakes his head quickly. You're the one who pulled him off of that damn ship. I need to make sure Kalia's not making a mess of the bridge. But more importantly, you've got the best chance to get something out of him. Because I pulled him out? You saved his life, Rael. I think that's a good enough reason as any to come clean to someone. You're not so certain. Sure, but well, you're the captain. You've got more authority here. Shouldn't you do it? The wolf frowns, and you wince in turn. You thought that this was a favor, not an order. I didn't ask him aboard my ship, not like I did you. I didn't even vet him. So before he wakes up, I want to make certain that the ship is fully ready for anything. That means me on the bridge. That makes sense, you suppose. And whoever wrecked that ship is probably still out there. Alright, sure. Want me to pass any message to Brahm while we're at it? No, I trust him. Just don't interrupt his work. Brahm's a sweetheart, but if you disrupt his doctoring, then you'll see how cuddly he can not be. The warning is well received, even though it brings to mind a mental image of Zuberi playing with little spoons on the big bear. You fight the urge to coo. Noted. Good luck with Kalia. Yeah, thanks. You start to turn around, but Zuberi's paw reaches out to catch your shoulder before you can. And Rael? Well done over there, truly. You blink and look down rather than meet the proud stare of the captain. Just trying to do right. And you did something very right today. That was a big risk, and I was prepared to take it. You took it in my place, so I won't forget that. You smile as you catch the side of the wolf's tail starting to wag. A moment later, yours follows suit. Appreciate it. The wolf nods as he turns away and starts to head off towards the door that will lead him back to the bridge. You're left alone in the gym for a moment. Zuberi's very right to be suspicious. There's definitely more to your mysterious new guest than you've been able to piece together so far. Just what that is, you can only guess. But right now, you've got a favor to follow through on. You turn around and make your way back to the infirmary door. You do pause for a moment as you get through. Bromka was definitely twitchy with the conversation when you and Zuberi were there before, and not without good reason. Still, you don't have to bother him with questions. You can just sit down quietly and wait. Committed, you tap on the door controls and open it back up. So, we're gonna leave it there for now. There is a new character. Well, there's going to be, I guess. I want to say stupidly, but like, I guess there's a space and it's sort of like if you're out in open sea and you see a boat that's like, you know, sinking and then you like decide to, it's like, oh, well, we can't just let somebody, drown, we kind of have to go out and save them. So that's what they decided to do. But having had looked through the logs, you can kind of see that maybe that may not have been a good, thing. Because apparently this person stole their ship and they were attacked by heavy weaponry. And that's, on its face, very suspicious, but like, also, what's going to happen if whoever it is that attacked this person decides to come after you, to ensure that this person who was probably supposed to die, dies. So, I think Zuberi is a little bit too good for his own good. I do believe that Kalia had the right of it, where it's like, you know what? This is too dangerous. We shouldn't do that. But I guess, the captain's orders. And of course, I do decide to go myself because, this is how you find out this information about the ship being stolen, and all that other stuff. I don't think that if Zuberi goes, that he would be able to ascertain all this information. But yeah. Also, you go to engineering, you find out that they used heavy weaponry, which I guess it's mil-spec, military grade weaponry, in order to do what they did. And then you find out that there was a virus there in order to, I guess, make it so that it's easier to hide that you were there. So very strange circumstances as to how this character arrived where they were. And yeah. That's probably not going to end well for the dreamer. Anywho, what are your thoughts so far? This went from a 6-hour long recording to 4 hours and like 40 minutes. So that should tell you that there was a lot of mistakes that I was doing. But that's par for the course when the videos are longer. I start to get very tired and start making mistakes. Like, ugh. But yeah. Anyway, so what are your thoughts so far? Write down in the comments, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you'd like to play Void Dreamer yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the game and play it yourself. They do have a Patreon? Yeah, they have a Patreon, right? That will be linked down in the description, and I do have a, channel member thing in case you want to watch these videos as they're being scheduled. This did take way longer than I was hoping. It took 3 days to edit. So I hope you guys appreciate it. Oh my god. I can't wait for the next part. Anyway, so in case you want to watch these videos as they're being scheduled, become a channel member. You get to watch them. Or if you just want to support through Ko-fi, do that. Or Throne, that's there too. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.